They say every lie eventually comes to light, but nothing prepares you for discovering that the person sleeping next to you every night is living an entirely different life when they walk out the door. Laura never went looking for the truth. She wasn't even suspicious. All she wanted was a pair of batteries for the TV remote. But the moment she opened that forbidden drawer, the moment she saw the photograph tucked beneath a stack of old receipts, her entire world collapsed. Because in that picture, smiling happily, standing beside her husband Andres, was another woman, and two children who looked exactly like him. And the date written on the back? Just 3 weeks earlier. Laura didn't know it yet, but the other family lived 2 streets away. They shopped at the same supermarket. They walked the same sidewalks. They lived under the same neighborhood lights. And everyone knew. Everyone except her. This is the full story of what she discovered next, how deep the deception really went, and how far Andres was willing to go to keep both of his lives from falling apart. Before we continue, a warning. If you believe you truly know the person you live with, you might want to listen closely. Laura always thought of herself as an ordinary woman living an ordinary life. No chaos, no drama, just routine. She had been married to Andres for 8 years, a man everyone described as responsible, polite, hardworking, the kind of man her friends envied her for, or so she believed. They lived in a quiet residential neighborhood where the houses looked almost identical. Pastel-painted walls, narrow driveways, trimmed hedges. A place where neighbors waved without looking, where gossip spread only when someone wanted it to. A place perfect for hiding secrets. Because no one asked too many questions, the truth began unraveling on a Sunday afternoon. Laura had been searching for a battery. Just one. She had checked the kitchen drawers, the living room shelves, the pantry. Nothing. Andres had stepped out 20 minutes earlier, saying he was going to buy bread. She didn't think much of it. Andres always found random excuses to leave the house alone. Finally, she walked into the small home office, Andres' work sanctuary, as he called it. He spent hours inside, supposedly catching up on numbers and reports. There was one drawer Laura had been told never to open. It wasn't locked. It wasn't sealed. Andres had simply said casually, "Don't touch this one, okay? It's where I keep work stuff." For 8 years, she respected that boundary. For 8 years, she never once questioned it. But that day, looking for a battery, she hesitated. And then she pulled the drawer open. Inside were pens, old notebooks, a broken watch, and a small envelope. An envelope with her husband's handwriting. Her name was not on it. It read, "For Camila, don't lose this." Camila, a name Laura didn't recognize. Her stomach dropped, but curiosity pushed harder than fear. Inside the envelope was a photograph. Andres, smiling, holding a little girl's hand. A girl with his same eyes, same dimples, same expression. Another woman stood beside them. Dark hair, warm smile, her hand wrapped around Andres' waist as if she belonged there. On the back, written in Andres' handwriting, "Family Day, June 3rd. June 3rd, 3 weeks earlier." Laura couldn't breathe. Her heart slammed against her chest as if trying to escape. Her hands trembled so violently she almost dropped the photo. She sat down on the edge of the desk, staring at the picture, trying to swallow the impossible truth forming inside her mind. Andres had another family. Not a fling. Not a secret affair. A family. And not miles away. Not in another city. Not somewhere distant. 2 streets away. But how? When? Why? How had she never seen them? How had no one told her? Or worse, did everyone know but her? Her phone buzzed. A message from Andres. "They didn't have the bread I like. Going to another store." She stared at the words, the casual tone. the lie disguised as routine. Her hands clenched around the phone. After 8 years, she finally began to see something clearly. Andres had never been the man she thought he was. Not even close. Laura grabbed her keys, took the photo, and stepped outside. Her legs shook as she walked down the street, guided by nothing but instinct and the burning need to uncover the truth. She turned the corner. Then another. Her heart pounded louder with each step. And then she saw it. A house she had passed countless times. A house she never paid attention to. And there, standing on the porch, was the little girl from the photograph. Laughing, playing with a small red ball. Laura froze. Moments later, the front door opened, and Andres walked out carrying grocery bags. He bent down, kissed the little girl on the forehead, and said in the softest voice, "Daddy's home." Laura's entire body went cold. Her husband, the man who had just texted her saying he was at another store, was here, at this house, with this child, with this other woman who stepped out seconds later, kissed him on the cheek, and took the bags from his hands. Laura's breath hitched. Tears blurred her vision. Andres had built another life, another home, another world, and it was happening right under her nose. She didn't know it yet, but what she discovered next would be far worse than the betrayal. Because this other family was not accidental. It wasn't a secret Andres had been forced into keeping. It was a life he had chosen, one he was willing to do anything to protect, even if it meant silencing the truth forever. Laura didn't remember walking back home. Her legs moved, but her mind wasn't there. Her heart felt like an empty room, echoing, cold and collapsing in slow motion. When she finally entered her house, she locked the door behind her, then slid down to the floor, her back against the wood, unable to breathe. The picture was still in her hand, and Andres's kiss on that other woman's cheek replayed in her mind over and over like a punishment. He had two families, not rumors, not suspicions, not maybe. She saw it with her own eyes. But the question tore her apart from the inside. For how long? Minutes passed, maybe hours. Laura couldn't tell. Until finally, the front door opened. Andres walked in casually, humming, holding a bag of bread he had clearly bought just to keep his story consistent. When he saw Laura sitting on the floor, his smile froze. "Laura, what are you doing there?" His voice cracked, barely audible but enough to show fear. Laura lifted the photograph slowly. She didn't speak. Andres went pale. He shut the door quietly, almost gently, as if loud noise could break the thin thread holding everything together. Where did you get that?" he whispered. Laura's voice came out hollow, distant, like someone else was speaking through her. "Who are they, Andres?" He swallowed hard. His jaw trembled. "Laura, let me explain." She stood up, still holding the photo tightly. "You have another family?" Her voice rose, not in anger, but in disbelief. "In the same neighborhood? 2 streets away? Are you insane?" Andres took a shaky breath. "It's not what you think." That sentence, the cliché of every liar, sent a wave of rage through her. "Really? Then explain it to me. Explain your daughter. Explain that woman. Explain why you've been disappearing at night. Explain the drawer with her name on it." Andres pressed his hands to his face. His breathing grew heavy. "Laura, please. Please just sit down. You don't understand. It's complicated." But she didn't sit. She stepped closer, so close she could hear his heartbeat racing. "Then make me understand." Silence. A silence that stretched long enough to scare her. Finally, Andres said something she never expected. "Laura, I didn't want to tell you because you're part of it." Her eyebrows furrowed. What are you talking about? He looked at her with an expression she couldn't read. Fear, guilt, maybe both. It wasn't supposed to be like this, he whispered. They weren't supposed to live so close. It wasn't my decision. Laura felt her stomach twist. Whose decision was it? When Andres spoke again, his voice lowered to a tremble. Your mother knew. Laura froze. My mother? The word almost didn't leave her mouth. Andres nodded slowly. She knew about Camila. She knew about everything. She was the one who told me not to tell you. She was the one who said it would destroy you. Laura shook her head violently. No. No. My mother would never. She would never hide something like this from me. But Andres stepped closer, desperation in his eyes. Laura, your mother helped me. She helped all of us. Her breath caught. Her chest tightened. What do you mean, all of us? Andres swallowed again, unable to look her in the eye. They're not just my family, Laura. They're part of something that involves you, too. Laura felt dizzy, gripping the table to steady herself. What are you talking about? She shouted. What does my mother have to do with your other family? Andres closed his eyes as though preparing for a blow. Because Camila isn't just the other woman. His voice cracked. She's your mother's daughter, too. Laura went still. The room spun. The air felt thin. Her brain refused to process the words. What? What did you just say? She whispered. Andres nodded slowly, painfully. Your mother had a child before you were born. A daughter she gave up. A daughter you never knew existed. Laura's heart stopped. Camila. The name. The warm smile. The familiar eyes she thought were Andres. They were hers. Her mother's. Andres? Laura whispered, her voice trembling. Are you telling me that this woman you're with, is my sister? Andres closed his eyes again. Yes. Laura stepped back, shaking her head violently. No, that's impossible. That doesn't explain why she's with you, why you have a whole life with her. Andres's face contorted with guilt. Because your mother asked me to take care of her, to help her, to protect her, and I did more than I should have. Laura's voice dropped into a whisper full of horror. You married me while having a life with my sister? Andres didn't answer. He didn't need to. The silence confirmed everything. Laura felt her entire world rip apart at the seams. Her husband, her mother, her family, her identity, everything she ever knew, was a lie. And Andres wasn't finished, because the next thing he said would change everything again. Laura, that little girl, she's not just my daughter. He hesitated, tears forming in his eyes. She's yours too. Laura felt the world tilt sideways. It wasn't just shock. It was the sensation of falling inside herself, as if her mind couldn't hold on to reality anymore. My what? She whispered. What did you just say, Andres? He stepped forward, his eyes full of torment. Laura, please sit. Just sit. Let me explain. She didn't. Her body refused to move. Andres, how can that child be mine? Her voice cracked. I've never been pregnant. That's what your mother wanted you to believe. Laura froze. No, she whispered. No, Andres. Stop. This is sick. This is insane. My mother would never. But Andres cut her off, his voice trembling. Laura, your mother kept secrets. Huge secrets. She did things to protect you. Things you were never supposed to know. Laura covered her mouth. Tears slid down her cheeks without permission. Stop lying, she whispered. Please, just stop. But Andres shook his head. His face told the truth she didn't want to hear. Laura, the little girl is your biological daughter. Her knees buckled. She grabbed the chair beside her before collapsing. Her breath came out in short, panicked gasps. No, no, that's impossible, she whispered. Impossible. I would remember. I would know. Andres stepped closer, speaking softly, cautiously, like someone approaching a wounded animal. You were 18, Laura. His voice shook. You got pregnant. You were scared. You didn't know what to do. Laura's eyes widened. Memories she had long buried ached to surface. Flashes of a hospital room, her mother's voice, a needle, darkness. I don't remember, Laura whispered. Andres nodded. That's because your mother made sure you wouldn't. Laura's heart clenched. A scream built inside her throat but never left her mouth. What are you talking about? Her voice was barely audible. He swallowed hard. Your mother, she convinced you that you had an accident, that you lost the baby. But you didn't, Laura. Her hands trembled violently. You gave birth, Andres whispered. You held her for a moment. You cried. And then, your mother signed the adoption papers while you were sedated. Laura's entire body went cold. She told the doctors you agreed. He continued. And when you woke up, she told you it was all a terrible mistake. That everything had already happened, and that nothing could be done. Laura collapsed into the chair, sobbing silently. But why? She choked out. Why would she do that to me? Andres stared at the floor. She said you were too young, that you weren't ready, that the father was dangerous. Laura's head snapped up. The father? She whispered. Who was the father? Andres looked her directly in the eyes. And she knew the answer before he said it. You know who, he whispered painfully. Laura's stomach twisted with nausea. No, she said. No, Andres. Please tell me it's not you. He closed his eyes. I was 22. You were 18. We were stupid, reckless, and terrified. Laura felt her pulse in her ears. So you're telling me? Her voice was barely a breath. You're telling me that the little girl outside that house is my daughter, and yours? Andres nodded. And the woman you're with, Camila, she adopted her, legally. She raised her. Laura began shaking uncontrollably. And you... Her voice cracked. You married me while secretly raising the daughter we had together with my own sister? Andres collapsed into a chair, burying his face in his hands. I never meant for it to happen like this, Laura. When I married you, I thought it was the right thing. I wanted to protect you. I wanted to start fresh. Laura stared at him, horrified. You married me out of guilt, she whispered. Andres didn't deny it. Your mother begged me, he said quietly. She said you needed stability, that you needed someone who loved you, that she couldn't lose you the way she lost Camila. Laura's breathing tightened. My mother knew everything. Her voice was hollow. She lied to me for years. She let me marry you. She let you live two lives. She let me walk past my own daughter without knowing. Andres wiped his face. She did it to protect you. To protect me? Laura snapped. Or to protect herself? He didn't answer, and then a new thought struck her like a knife. If the girl is my daughter, why didn't you tell me? Andres's voice lowered, filled with something darker. Because your mother warned me, he whispered. She said if you ever found out, you would confront Camila, and that would tear the family apart. She said you weren't emotionally strong enough. She said it would destroy you. Laura trembled with rage and heartbreak. But you still chose her, Laura said. You chose Camila over me. Andres shook his head. I didn't choose her. I chose our daughter. That sentence shattered the last piece of Laura's world, but Andres wasn't finished. He leaned forward slowly, his voice barely a whisper. Laura, there's one more thing you need to know. She lifted her tear-filled eyes. It wasn't your mother's idea to keep you away from your daughter. Laura frowned, confused. Then whose idea was it? Andres hesitated. A long, trembling silence filled the room. He finally whispered, Camila's. Laura stared at Andres as if he had spoken a foreign language. Camila? She whispered. That makes no sense. Why would she want to keep me away from my own daughter? Andres swallowed hard. Because, Laura, Camila never believed your mother should have kept you. Laura blinked, confused, trembling. What does that even mean? Andres hesitated. A long, troubled silence that made Laura's skin crawl. Then he said it. Camila always believed she was the one your mother wanted, not you. Laura felt her pulse stop for a second. Andres continued, voice heavy. Your mother chose you, raised you, gave you everything. While Camila grew up feeling abandoned, forgotten, like she was the mistake, and you were the daughter who replaced her. Laura shook her head. But that wasn't my fault, she whispered. Andres looked at her sadly. For Camila, it was. A coldness spread through Laura's chest. Andres sat back, exhausted. Camila was never angry at your mother. She was angry at you. And when she adopted your daughter, when she held that baby, she finally felt like she had what you had. Laura grabbed the edge of the table for support. She took my daughter, she whispered. She raised my child to replace the life she thought she deserved. Andres nodded slowly. She always said, this child is mine. Laura already had her chance. A tremor went through Laura's entire body. So she knew, Laura said. She knew I was the real mother. She knew the truth. Andres closed his eyes. She begged your mother to keep you away. She said you would steal the baby back. She said you couldn't be trusted. Laura felt physically ill. But why didn't you tell me? She cried. You knew the truth. You knew everything. Andre's voice fractured into pieces. Because I was trying to protect all of you. I was trapped between you and Camila and the child and your mother's guilt. Every decision hurt someone. Laura's tears blurred her vision. You should have protected me, she whispered. He didn't respond, because they both knew he hadn't. Laura goes to confront Camila. Laura wiped her face, anger replacing shock. She stood up abruptly, grabbing the photograph from the table. I'm going to talk to her. Andres reached out, panicked. Laura, wait. But she shoved his hand away. No, no more lies. No more secrets. No more hiding. She walked out the door without looking back. Her steps were unsteady but determined. Every heartbeat felt like a hammer. As she approached Camila's house, the house where her daughter lived, she saw shadows moving behind the curtains. Her hands shook violently as she rang the doorbell. Seconds passed, then the door opened. Camila stood there, surprised but not afraid, as if she had been expecting this moment. Her eyes scanned Laura's face, and then she smiled faintly. So, you finally know. Laura's breath caught. Camila stepped aside. Come in, we might as well tell the truth now. Laura stepped inside slowly. The air smelled like lavender, the same scent Laura's mother used to wear. In the living room, toys were scattered on the carpet. A small pair of red shoes near the couch. And on the wall, a framed picture of Camila, Andres, and the little girl. Laura felt a tear escape. Camila watched her coldly. You want the truth, Laura? Her voice was calm, Too calm. Laura nodded, unable to speak. Fine. Camilla stepped closer, her eyes burning. You want to know why you weren't allowed to raise that child? Because you weren't ready. You were unstable. You were fragile. You weren't the one our mother chose. You were the one she settled for. Laura's jaw clenched, her heart pounding. Camilla went on. When I adopted the baby, I knew exactly who she was. I knew she belonged to you. And I didn't care, because for once in my life, something was mine. Laura's vision blurred with fury. You stole her, she whispered. Camilla smirked. I saved her, from your mother, from Andres, from you. Laura shook her head violently. She's my daughter. I want her back. Camilla tilted her head, amused. Back? You can't have something you never really had, Laura. Then she stepped closer, so close their foreheads almost touched. She calls me Mom, not you. She sleeps in my arms, not yours. She knows my voice, my touch, my smell, not yours. Tears streamed down Laura's face. You had no right, she whispered brokenly. No right at all. Camilla leaned in even closer. She's not going anywhere, Laura, and neither is Andres. Silence, a terrifying, suffocating silence. Laura's blood ran cold. What do you mean? She whispered. Camilla's smile widened slowly. You really think he came here just for the child? She said. You really think he loves you more than he loves us? A shiver crawled up Laura's spine. Camilla whispered the final truth like a knife. He promised me that once you found out, he would choose us. Laura gasped. Andres is coming here. Laura's heart hammered so loudly she could barely hear anything else. Andres is coming here? She whispered it like a warning to herself. Camila crossed her arms calmly, as if this moment had been rehearsed. He should be here any second. Laura felt panic rising in her chest. Not because Andres was coming, but because she had no idea what he planned to do, or who he was going to side with. She looked toward the door, then toward the hallway where she knew her daughter, her real daughter, was sleeping. She took a step toward that hallway, but Camilla blocked her. Don't, Camilla said, voice cold. She's asleep, and she stays with me. Laura clenched her fists. She's my daughter. Camilla didn't even flinch. She's mine now. Before Laura could respond, the front door opened. Andres entered slowly, breathing hard, as if he had run the whole way. His eyes darted between Laura and Camilla, two women standing like shadows on opposite sides of the room. Laura, he whispered. She looked at him with a mixture of rage, heartbreak, and disbelief. Andres, you need to tell me the truth. Right now. Camila smirked behind him, arms crossed. Oh, he will. Andres took a deep breath, shaking. I didn't want it to end like this. Laura stepped closer. End like what? What did you expect? That you could have two families forever? That we would never find out? He looked at her with haunted eyes. I was trying to protect everyone. Camilla laughed sharply. Protect everyone? Or protect yourself? Andres winced. Camilla, don't... She cut him off. No, tell her what you told me last night. Laura's breath caught. What? Did he tell you? Camilla leaned against the wall casually. That he couldn't live like this anymore. That one of us had to go. Laura's stomach dropped. And he chose... Who? Camilla smiled slowly. That depends on which version of the story he tells. Andres' voice cracked. Laura, listen. No, Laura snapped. You listen to me. Her voice trembled with fury. I loved you. I trusted you. I defended you. And you had a whole life right under my nose. A daughter you hid from me. A sister I never knew existed. a family I never got to meet. And now you're telling me you want to choose? Andres looked like a man crushed between two walls. Camila stepped behind him and placed a hand on his shoulder. Go on, Andres. Tell her. Laura saw it then. The way Andres leaned slightly toward Camila. The way he didn't push her hand away. The way he let her speak for him. And Laura felt something inside her break. Just say it, she whispered. Say who you choose. Andres swallowed. He opened his mouth. But before he could speak, a small voice floated from the hallway. Mom? Both women froze. A tiny girl rubbing her eyes stepped into the living room. Her curly hair messy, her red pajamas slightly wrinkled. She looked at Camila first. Then she looked at Laura. And Laura felt her heart explode. Because the little girl's eyes, those warm, dark eyes, were hers. Camila rushed toward the child. Sweetie, come here. But the girl stepped back, confused. That lady, she pointed at Laura. She looks like me. Camila stiffened, and Laura dropped to her knees, tears streaming. Honey. Her voice cracked. Come here, please. The little girl looked at Andres, uncertain. Daddy? Andres looked torn apart, destroyed from the inside. The girl took one small step toward Laura. Just one. Camila panicked. No, come here, now. Her voice was sharp. Too sharp. The child flinched. Andres snapped. Camila, stop. Everything froze. Andres stepped toward Laura slowly, as if the truth were pulling him toward her. He reached for the little girl, lifted her gently, held her protectively, and said the words Laura never expected. She deserves to know her mother. Camila's face transformed, anger flooding her features like something demonic. You liar, she hissed. You promised me. You promised me. She lunged toward Andres, grabbing his arm. You can't take her. She's mine. She's always been mine. Andres pulled away. No, Camila. She's Laura's daughter. She has the right to know. Camila shook with rage. You're choosing her? She spat. After everything we built, everything I sacrificed, everything I did for you? Andres whispered. I'm choosing the truth. Camila's face contorted in a way Laura would never forget. You'll regret this, Camila growled. Both of you. She stormed toward the door, but before leaving, she turned back. You think this ends here? It doesn't. She'll come running back to me. They always do. And she slammed the door so hard the walls shook. Silence swallowed the room. Andres slowly turned to Laura, holding the child. She's yours, he whispered. She always has been. Laura touched her daughter's cheek with trembling fingers. The girl didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned into the touch. Like something deep inside her recognized a truth she never knew. Mommy, the girl whispered softly. Laura collapsed into tears. Andres began crying too. For a moment, a brief moment, everything felt almost peaceful, almost whole, almost right. But Laura looked at the door Camila had walked through, and she knew the truth. This wasn't over, because some secrets don't end when they're revealed. Some lies live on in the people who told them, and some wounds keep bleeding long after the truth comes out. As Laura held her daughter for the first time, she whispered one final thought to herself. This is not the end of the story. This is only the beginning. For the first time in her life, Laura held her daughter. The child's small arms wrapped around her neck with a hesitant innocence. The kind of hug that doesn't come from memory, but from instinct. It broke Laura's heart. And it healed her at the same time. Andres sat on the couch, exhausted, defeated, but strangely relieved. The truth was finally out. But peace is a fragile thing. especially when built on broken foundations. And the storm wasn't over, not even close. 2 days passed. The house felt different. Quieter, colder, uncertain. Like everyone was waiting for something to happen. Laura tried to bond with the little girl. She made pancakes, read stories, brushed her hair. But every time the child smiled, Laura saw a ghost of the life she never got to live. Andres slept in the guest room now. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't expect it. He simply moved through the days like a man rebuilding himself from ashes. But there was one thing neither of them talked about. Camila. No one had seen her. No calls, no texts, no sightings in the neighborhood. Nothing. It was as if she had vanished. But Laura knew better. Camila wasn't the disappearing type. She was the waiting type, the planning type, the type who watched from the shadows until the perfect moment to strike. On the third night, around 2 a.m., Laura woke up thirsty. She tiptoed to the kitchen. The house was silent. The kind of silence that isn't calm, but alert. As she poured water into her glass, a soft tap sounded at the window. Tap, tap, tap. Laura froze. She slowly looked up. At first, she saw nothing, just darkness. But then, a shadow shifted. Someone was outside. Watching, Laura's heart slammed in her chest. She stepped closer, cautiously, her eyes adjusting to the darkness beyond the glass. And then she saw it. A message written on the fogged window, as if someone had breathed on it and traced the letters with a finger. 4 words. "You stole my life." Laura gasped, stumbling backward. The curtain swayed slightly, just enough to reveal a silhouette outside. A woman. Camila. She didn't move, didn't speak, didn't blink. She simply stood there, a cold shadow carved against the night, watching, claiming, promising. Laura's throat tightened. She whispered barely a sound. "Camila, please, stop." But Camila only tilted her head slowly in that unnervingly calm way she had. Then she smiled. A small, chilling smile that held no warmth. Only possession. And in a voice Laura couldn't hear, but somehow understood, Camila mouthed, "She will come back to me." Then, like a ghost, she disappeared into the darkness. Laura stood frozen, shaking, the message on the window staring back at her. "You stole my life." Not written in anger, not written in madness, written in certainty. A warning, a promise, a truth. Laura pressed her palm to the glass, trembling. This wasn't over. It had never been over. Because Camila wasn't fighting for Andres. She wasn't fighting for revenge. She wasn't even fighting for justice. She was fighting for the little girl, the child she had raised, the child she believed was hers, the child she believed Laura had stolen. And Laura knew, as surely as she knew the sun would rise in the morning, Camila would come back. And next time, she wouldn't just leave a message. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes it gives someone a reason to come for you.